The FFWiki Podcast is brought to you by Boston Market. Boston Market, there's still 12 of us left in the US. Every store is badly run down and sad and smells of mold. But think of the memories. Once upon a time, we filled your holidays with flavor, joy, and rotisserie chicken. Likely no longer. Editor note, Boston Market's check did not clear. And SomeColo, as you may have heard, I'm rebranding the show. This is now the Astrobot Podcast.
See, you told me I wasn't going to get the opening gag, and then you hit me with that switch up.
There's two opening gags. It's the FFWiki Podcast. Because why would we work out a loser wiki for a loser franchise like Final Fantasy when there is a winner franchise out there called Astrobot, the best game of 2024, apparently?
Yeah, I mean, only one award at TGA is a complete pile of crap.
Yeah, I mean, well, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did win the Grand Game Awards, whatever that is. I'm actually not sure what that is. What is the Grand Game Awards?
I don't know. I barely know what TGA is.
Well, TGA is the show that Jeff Keighley puts on every year with his industry.
Know.
Yeah. Connections. And it's also the show where you could watch like 15 trailers for identical looking Korean and Chinese mobile games.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's only two awards in the industry, two award shows in the industry I actually know. That's the Game Awards because, yeah, of course we know it's the one that people make a big deal out of for whatever reason. And then there's which one was it? The Golden Joysticks, because of that one year where Troy Baker ran the show while extremely drunk. Yeah,
and we went over the history of the Golden Joysticks last month, because this is a monthly podcast. Previously about Final Fantasy and the Final Fantasy Wiki, but no longer. Now we talk about Astrobot. We've decided this. I decided this unilaterally. I'm BlueHighwind. I host the show. I also edit
and
it.
I think we already introduced me, so...
Yes, we did. And Technobliterator is... Oh, I guess he's not here, huh?
He's not even online.
Oh, okay. Cat use. No?
Well, I mean, I pinged the channel. I think it might just be us.
Okay. Skaithmo, Yunsha-san, no? No? How about that guy we got for the very first episode that ran that different Final Fantasy podcast? Is he around? No? I don't think so. It's just us. And it is the end of the year episode. So,
yep.
We can talk about the Game Awards and what we believe is Final Fantasy of the Year, and I guess you want to do New Year's resolutions for 2025? That seems like a bit.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get there.
Okay. SomeColo, I do have a question I need to ask you, because while we were doing the show last month, and as a matter of fact, I only realized this while I was editing the show from last month, I was not listening to you during one point, and I need to know what you meant by this. So, you were talking about how Sphene, the princess double-crossing bitch villain from Final Fantasy XIV, Yucatan.
Right.
I am saying this completely accurately, from Endwalker. She invented Calvinism? What did he mean by that?
Right, okay. So like, in the latest patch... So it starts with like Alexandria holds a funeral for her, and for some reason, like they say, you know, if you want to properly color coordinate your fucking cursed 1-up machine with proper mourning outfits, we're now offering these black version.
Wait,
and like later in towards the end of the patch story. You come back to Solution 9 after doing all the other stuff you were doing, and discover that Sphene has come back from the dead, and she's got this brand new idea. She's going to restart the whole Eternal thing, because she's got a way to make everyone into Eternals, but they'll take too much resources. So for now, she's only going to save the people who took one of those special black cursed one-up machines. She's going to turn them all into the Eternals, and they'll live forever in their knockoff shitty heaven. And it's just so fucking stupid, and I have been calling it techno-Calvinism just to piss off some of my friends, because
Okay.
like the sense of dread when I said that, when Hex had first saw me say that.
Okay, so all right, so I have some questions. So it has nothing to do with predestination, which is what I thought it was going to be.
It's not actual predestination, but I mean, it is based on the fact that she had no control over, so...
Okay. Is there an elect, like a group of people who are going to be saved and everyone else will not be?
I mean, it'll probably end up being like that, which it's also funny because Will Clement is with the group, of course, and once she hears this, she immediately catches on that, this can't be the real Sphene, because this plan isn't stupid enough. Sphene would have come up with a plan to try and save absolutely everyone, no questions asked.
Okay, so Sphene does not believe in limited grace. There is absolutely unlimited grace. I'm just trying to remember what I remember about Calvinism. I'm not a particular fan of Calvinism as a theology. It seems nasty and cruel, and seems to inevitably lead to social disaster. Course. But
I mean, like shit, like Westboro is sort of Calvinist, isn't it? So like, Calvinism fucking sucks.
And there are an elect group of people that God has specifically chosen. It's right there in the Bible. Yeah. They're called the Jews. I'm sorry, John Calvin.
Also that, yeah.
All right, so is anything else going on in Final Fantasy XIV? Because I've not been following that plotline through the patches. I sort of assumed that...
Not that much, because patches are several months apart. Like they released that new fight against the Cloud of Darkness on Christmas Eve. I haven't really been following much of that because I've been busy. It's been Christmas week.
It has been Christmas week. How was your Christmas, by the way?
Yeah, it's all right.
We cooked up a storm.
Mm-hmm.
I made an entire prime rib roast, which took about 4 hours to bake. Also, a Christmas tree made a puff pastry and pesto as an appetizer. Wow. Yeah. All right. So maybe we should talk.
Yeah, we never get that fancy. We just cook a lot.
Yeah, I figure, you know what, like, back when I was a kid, all we would have is ham, because that's nice and easy to cook. I'm like, you know what, I have extra money to spend on the holidays, and I like a big chunk of meat, and I like having leftovers for days and gnawing on ribs for breakfast, so I can make that happen for me and my loved ones.
Yeah, so some of it might also just be a cultural thing, because of course Australia doesn't have Thanksgiving, so so we don't have these two big feast days in close proximity to each other. So there's a lot more happening on Christmas.
This time of the year is crazy for me personally because, all right, so in the middle of December, we go down to Philadelphia to remember my paternal grandmother's memory. She lived there and she passed away about 10 years ago. And that's around her birthday, so we kind of make that the Hanukkah celebration as well. Then like a week after that, it's Christmas. So you have a big Christmas Eve meal, and then of course a Christmas meal. Then a week after that, it's New Year's, so you need to have a big meal then too. About a week after that, it's my birthday. So then, guess what? Big meal. A week after that, I think, is my cousin's birthday. So, yep, we're feasting once again. And then by about February, I should have gained about 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. there are definitely a lot of days going on here, but aside from Christmas itself, we tend to be a bit more subdued about these things. So
Yeah, this is why I got to go to the gym like 3 times a week and run 10 miles in order to stay in some kind of proper shape. So, we covered everything with Final Fantasy XIV story, right?
Yeah, there's not really much to cover.
Okay. All right, so we should talk about the Game Awards. We were thinking of streaming it, then we thought, no, let's not do that.
I was willing to do it, but then nobody responded when I said, okay, I need to know if people want to stream this.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, thank God, because there's no way I was going to be able to carry this entire stream. Like, people will say that this was the best Game Awards that they've seen, and that's probably correct, but it's still fucking boring.
It's still a long show, and
yeah,
I'll be honest, I had a really rough December for a number of reasons that I'm not going to get into. One of which being a new job, but so I had no energy for that sort of thing, and I was on a different Discord and talking about it there, and like by about 10 o'clock, I'm like, I have no energy to keep this up. How do people have this energy for 3 hours to go and run a show like this, especially when it's like 9:45 and they've blown all their good trailers, like the new game from Team Ico, Successor, and what else was there? There was Pac-Man, Metroidvania.
God, that fucking Pac-Man game.
Yeah. There's something else that looks super cool that I forgot about. Team Like a Dragon. They're making 4 video games.
Yeah, they're actually really popping off now.
Yeah, they are bringing back Virtua Fighter and making their own franchise. And they have Like a Dragon Pirate in Hawaii coming out in 2 months.
Right.
And almost certainly Yakuza 9 is in the thing somewhere. So, yeah,
that's got to be in pre-planning at least.
They are tireless in their efforts.
Yeah.
Was there anything else cool? Well, we didn't get the chanting guy from Metaphor ReFantazio. I was deeply disappointed by that.
Yeah, that's like, I would have thought that's the kind of thing you bring to the to that Game of the Year ending song medley, and like they did give the flute guy like 7 different instruments to use throughout the thing.
That was very impressive. That flute
camera
guy
went back to him and he switched out to another instrument.
Yeah, he pulls out like this Chinese wind instrument that I've never seen before, and he is like rolling back and forth on this thing. I'm like, wow, what? Way to go, dude. Like legitimately. Showmanship. I can understand maybe they couldn't get the guy for Metaphor ReFantazio because he's like a Buddhist monk. And
yeah.
Or maybe it was a Shinto priest, I forget. He's got some official capacity in Japan. So maybe he's unable to leave. But get him on the live stream, man. Get him on camera. They couldn't get the Balatro guy either. They had 2 random people accept his award for him. So we should probably go over some of the awards. So as we've already covered, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did not win Game of the Year. We were completely wrong about that. None of us were even close.
I mean, I figured it was going to be down to Astro Bot versus whoever won RPG of the Year.
And it was not Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That went to Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yeah.
Also, Metaphor ReFantazio has won several Game of the Years. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth really has not.
It got a couple, I think. Because, of course, Techno is very upset about this and is now documenting every single win Final Fantasy VII Rebirth racks up in the Final Fantasy VII channel or the content Wiki content channel. So there's been a few in there.
Yeah, there's a fan base, like a kind of defensive fan base for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I fully understand considering the press around that game was not great in terms of its sales. So it's kind of like, okay, we couldn't get good sales figures, but maybe we can get Game of the Year. And it seems like they largely haven't. Seven Rebirth did win one thing, which was Best Soundtrack. Which, honestly, I almost think it did not deserve. I would have given that one to Metaphor ReFantazio. And I would have given RPG of the Year to Seven Rebirth. I might be turning against Metaphor ReFantazio the more I play that game, by the way. I'm
generally just convinced that Square Enix has a lock on the best soundtrack category in years that they bother to show up. Because last year Final Fantasy 16 won that, and that's fine, but that's not even Soken's best soundtrack.
No, I'm trying to remember any music from. 16 had the opening riff from Final Fantasy 1 through 6 in its battle theme, didn't it?
One of the songs.
That bit.
One of the songs might have. I think one of those mini boss themes did have the riff in there. Soken likes leitmotifs so much that he does fall back on a lot of the series-wide leitmotifs as well and uses them frequently. So yeah, that stuff's all in there.
Yeah, I remember there being a lot of Crystal theme and main theme of Final Fantasy stuff. Final Fantasy in there. Yeah, I would say Metaphor is a better soundtrack, but all right, so I'm 25 hours into this. I think I'm about halfway through. And my sense with Metaphor is it's way too damn long. And this is going to sound rude, but I think it's less deep than people have been giving it credit for. So,
as a game or as a story?
As a story. So, it seems like a very timely game for. We've had a very bad 2024 built all around an election where people chose the wrong option and decided to go with division and fear versus any other option right there. Literally.
Frankly, if you openly vote for the candidate that promises to crash the economy, you don't get to complain when the economy crashes.
I couldn't give the slightest shit about the economy, ultimately. I'm just you can make a good argument that our current past and future president got the job because of running on anti-trans crap, which is completely unacceptable. Is not acceptable on the Final Fantasy Wiki. It's not acceptable on the Final Fantasy Wiki podcast, nor is it acceptable on the Final Fantasy Wiki Discord. I will ban you automatically if you do any of that shit. Unconditionally. But I've wandered off my topic about Metaphor. So, it's a story about an election. And we have all these candidates that come up, and they're starting to promise various things. And it seems like, okay, we're going to have kind of a Disco Elysium sort of thing here, where there's going to be all these various flavors of politics coming up. Here's the military dictatorship candidate. Here's the Maoist, let's overthrow the rich people candidate. And then here's some joke candidates that, one guy's just talking about how the country should only be run by the beautiful people. Or ethnic candidates. There's various ethnicities in this country, and some are oppressed, some are not. It's interesting stuff. But the more I play this game, the less any of this politics seems like there's any meat to it, or there's even any choice to actually kind of select your own politics or even explore it. The more it just seems to be kind of going down the middle of too much of anything is bad. So Katharina, mild spoilers, she's a character that looks like she might have been playable at one point during development. She looks just like Yuffie, except if Yuffie were a bunny girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, she is talking about she wants to go and overthrow the rich people for the poor people. And there's a lot of poverty in this country. There are people literally starving on the streets in the capital. I'll just say, cards on the table, I'm not against this idea. Let's have some let's have some financial equality here. And then the moment that anyone comes up to her and starts going, hey, here's a rich person, we're going to go take their money, she's like, oh no, theft is bad. And then she backs down instantly. And that seems to be the end of that whole plot line. And I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, this is like the worst parts of 7 Remake and Rebirth, where they're like sitting around being like, the planet's dying, but maybe we fought against entire extinction of the entire world the wrong way by blowing up the people who are going to cause the death of the entire world. Like, no, please don't do this. This is dumb. By your own terms, this is extremely dumb.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty sure you have gotten further than I have with Metaphor, because I actually haven't played it that much. But this is also something that would entirely not surprise me, because, I mean, if anyone ever asks me my opinions about, like, you know, the team's previous works, the Persona series, they would know I goddamn hate the plot of Persona 5. Which, and with hey kids, the best way to fight authority is to follow the rules.
Yeah, that is annoying with Persona 5, that, like, in the end, everything you do just sort of reestablishes the system. But in Persona 5's defense, I'll give it at least was, like, remarkably ahead of the times in 2017, where when you expose the completely corrupt political guy and show that everything he's done is evil and vile and nasty down to the very core, nobody cares. Everyone's just like, you know what, we'll vote for him anyway. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. And, like, in a related note, that comes to the thing where, like, I look at this stuff and I start wondering, you know, now that the A team for Persona moved on to Metaphor, if I prefer how the B team writes things, because, like, since then they do, like, okay, let's redo Persona 5, give it a new ending that's, you know, kind of more drills into the themes of the story and such, and then, okay, we're going to make a sequel to Persona 5 that focuses on the characters that we kind of forgot to give arcs to in the original game. And then after that, fuck it, we'll just make Persona 3 again. And that is the effort from them I've appreciated the most, because Persona 3 is actually well written.
You know what? This is like a running theme in this franchise, where every one of these Persona games starts with, like, there's all this interesting mystery and intrigue and kind of urban fantasy horror elements, and then, like, every theme of, like, self-denial and destruction in Persona 3 that aims to nothing. It's mostly just hang out in a high school for 9 months.
I can give Persona 4 some slack, because like, you can actually kind of read it as the antagonist weaponizing queerbaiting, but yeah, Persona 3 is the only one in this style of Persona game that actually just actively tries to hit its themes all the way through the story.
I'll say Persona 4 is a game that deeply frustrates me because of how several characters go through their arcs. Like, this is discourse that has happened a billion times during the course of the internet, so... Yeah, I'm the most annoying thing about Metaphor for me is, at the very beginning of that game, your character has a book, and inside the book is a fantasy world of our world. And I'm trying to figure out what is happening with that. There's like a metatextual element to it, that even the highest aspirations of fantasy in this world is just our own fucked up reality. And I'm wondering, like, where are you going with that? What does any of that mean? But the book has been completely forgotten during the course of the plot lines, and we're just doing RPG stuff of traveling town to town and completing a dungeon in each town, and it takes friggin' forever. Because I had like 18 days at the third town to complete the task, and I was done in 3. And I had nothing to do except complete social links for like 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm honestly starting to not be very fond of the calendar format that all of those games have. Like, yeah, and Persona does kind of have a point, but it is a system that just seems to give way too much room to dead air.
Well, the other thing is, Metaphor specifically, they've kind of removed all the friction from it. At no point do I ever feel like I'm making a hard call between I gotta get this done or this done. Because I can complete the main dungeon in one day, except for the first one, which was like 30 hours long, that first dungeon. Anything I want to get done, I can be done. I have all my my attributes are high. I'm on level 4 in all of them. I've maxed out one social link already. You don't sleep with any of your social link people anymore, so it kind of removes that one reward for me. I'm like, well, I can't build a harem anymore. Dang it! So why am I doing this?
Yeah, it's definitely like I guess that sometimes the thing tries way too hard, and some of the dating options in Persona 5 are kind of. But then I look at this. Oh yeah, I totally banged Stroll and Hulkenberg.
I like the banker chick. What's her name? Oh, she's the one that represents the banking class. She's got a dog.
Yeah, the one that
Henrietta,
like
I think maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay. We wandered off topic again by my own wandering. Where were we? We were talking about Game Awards, right? So we should talk about the things that were.
Awards.
Yeah, we should talk about the things that got announced at the Game Awards. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you want to play that on not the PlayStation 5, you can. On January 23rd, 2025, it will be releasing on PC.
Mm-hmm.
We got a trailer of it on PC. Looks like there will be no additional content. It's just on PC. The other big thing is that Clive from Final Fantasy 16, he is coming to Tekken 8.
Yep, he actually came out the week after the show, so he's in there now. There was one really fucking great bit where one of the intro quotes, one of the characters says, that's a neat cosplay. I like it." And Clive just, "What the hell is cosplay?"
There's a great picture going around, I think, of the Tekken 8 developers. They were going and showing off the character customization options. So there's Clive in a Hawaiian shirt and pink turning into blue glasses and a banjo on his back and shorts.
Yeah. Because apparently character customization in Tekken 7 was really limited for Noctis. So apparently Tekken 8 we sorted out for them. You can use any customization option that doesn't have a brand logo on it. Go nuts.
You know what? This Clive I like a lot better. If this Clive were in Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 16 would have been a great game. Because that holiday outfit, that is the drip he wears after the ending of Final Fantasy 16, where he realizes, oh fuck, I'm not actually dead. I have no plan now. Did we lose our Final Fantasy 16 discussion thing?
We moved it to the archives because, nothing pending really.
Okay.
Most people don't really talk much about fighting games in our server.
Okay. All right, so he's got jean shorts and sandals. And one last thing, my dude has got giant thighs. I mean, not giant thighs, he's got giant calves. And actually, he kind of a Popeye sort of arm system. He's got really, really big forearms.
He is really jacked.
You know, I'll say, as a guy with really big calves, I'm glad to have representation finally in a game. Also, he dyed his hair blonde.
Yeah.
Because blondes have more fun. What else? Okay, so Final Fantasy VII back on PC. I feel like every Square Enix producer or director has to say this at some point, but Naoki Hamaguchi, the director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, says, please do not create anything offensive, inappropriate for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Unfortunately, that horse has already left the barn because Remake has been out on PC for some time, and anything you could possibly want, it's out there.
This is definitely just company boilerplate at this point.
Yes. It's all there.
Nobody who's worked on the PC games believes that this is even remotely reasonable.
Yeah, specifically with Final Fantasy VII, there's going to be plenty. There was actually not much for
Yeah.
16. I was disappointed by the 16 modding community.
Mm.
I did find a mod of Jill using her nude model. They just kind of painted some nipples on it. Looked very weird. Yeah. This is important research. We need to do this for the podcast.
Of course.
Speaking of that Marvel Rivals game, there's all kinds of stuff out there if you're into that.
Oh yes, yeah. That's like the internet immediately flocked to Squirrel Girl, and that's only just the most obvious example.
Yeah, surprised by Squirrel Girl, to be honest, but she wasn't in Marvel Midnight Suns. But I kind of forgot Squirrel Girl even existed because she's not in the MCU either. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, Player's Choice came out, and Final Fantasy VII did not win that either for the Game Awards. I have a note of that.
That didn't even make it to the final round. Yeah.
No, it did not. So Fantasian Neo Dimension, the new Sakaguchi game that released officially for not on the iPhones in December. I did not play it. Did you play it?
No, I haven't played that yet either.
Okay.
I mean, I want to, but it's just not yet.
Okay, we might need to make that like next month's topic or something. Because we will need topics, and I feel that we should be honoring Sakaguchi, even though I've not really heard much of anything about this game. Like, it came out, it's a very crowded December. Like, I haven't heard people talking about the whatchamacallit, the Indiana Jones game, because that's an Xbox
That apparently
exclusive.
did pretty well. So, and surprisingly for being an Xbox exclusive, because those have typically been tanking. But yeah, that's apparently done well.
It's apparently really, really good. I will play it when it's not on the Xbox. So, June, actually, I think it's when it comes out on PlayStation 5.
You know, speaking of Xbox and the Game Awards stuff, what the fuck were those "This is an Xbox" ads?
Well, they also had
like
"This
that-
is not an Xbox," which just made it all the weirder.
Like like Microsoft's basically fucking admitting defeat there. It's like it's almost like it's prepping. We're done with consoles because anything that can put a Microsoft game on it, that's technically an Xbox.
Well, this is all right. So to roll back the timeline, so Xbox for the last like 6 years or something has been trying to be more of a services company. So one of their big goals was you can go play games anywhere. We'll be able to play Xbox on your TV. You'll be able to play Xbox on your phone or on your PlayStation 5. Maybe even on your Switch. You can go play Indiana Jones. You'll be able to do the streaming stuff. Because that was where tech was like 5 years ago. We're going to do streaming stuff. Tech has since moved to AI obsessions, and they'll figure out their next thing soon enough. Give it a couple of years. So this is like the residual of that, where they're like, this is our marketing push. We can finally play Xbox anywhere. Except like the numbers have been out because several major games came out on phones, including like major Resident Evil games. Like entire Resident Evil games, they ported them to the iPhone. Nobody bought them. Like
iOS. Apple made a big push for that on iOS, and it just completely failed.
Yeah. Right now, by the way, on your Netflix, if you have Netflix on your phone, you can download Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the entire game. You can just play that on your phone. You can play Roller Coaster Tycoon or a version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's a lot of stuff there. I just got Monument Valley 3. Did you know there was a Monument Valley 3? Neither did I. I found it on my Netflix. Randomly. The
thing is, in most cases, porting a console game to mobile sounds absolutely horrid.
Yes. Playing games on your phone is not good unless that game is the right kind of game. Like, I don't know, Solitaire or Balatro. I've been playing quite a bit of Balatro the last few days. As a matter of fact, I've deleted Balatro from my phone because that game is poisonous cocaine. It is extremely dangerous. Everybody hates me because I don't interact with them. I just play Balatro. So that needs to go. That's a very good game. It's going to make my top 10, but yeah, I have caveats, which are this game is dangerous. I could cease to exist and just be a being clicking on cards for the rest of my life. What was I talking about? How did I end up here? This is my main problem as a podcaster, is that I end up going on tangents and then I forget what the point of the tangent was in the first place.
We were having a tangent about Xbox.
Okay. And then how did we get on Xbox?
Because okay, well, we're talking about other non-TGA awards, and then the Indiana Jones game came up, and then because like we've been talking about Game Awards and stuff, I got onto the fucking This Is an Xbox ads.
Okay.
And
okay, so this whole thing was a tangent. We could cut it all out.
Yeah, well, tangents upon tangents.
We were talking about Fantasia Neo Dimension, I think was originally what the point was.
Yeah, that's yeah, but we kind of ran out of that topic because neither of us had played it.
Yes, we did quite poorly on that in terms of content creators. Not that we create much content. You know. Speaking of content dumping, we need to talk about Ever Crisis, because things are going down in Ever Crisis. I'm not happy about this either, but this is something we have to deal with. So first of all, there's Christmas costumes for everybody, and Vincent Valentine's Christmas costume. Holy crap. He is preppy as all heck. He's got an ascot tie, possibly, a golden snowflake. He looks like he's in Type 0, actually. That's what Vincent Valentine looks like.
Yeah, he looks like he raided Emmett Selk's closet.
He does. It's Emmett Selk, Vincent Valentine. I can only say fabulous. Nomura's cooking once again.
Yeah.
I think there were costumes for Tifa and stuff, too. I didn't get to see those.
Yeah, I mean, did they finally do what I think was a severe miss from last Christmas and do Santa Barrett? Because, like,
Wait,
this is
Santa
something
Barrett?
that
I need to see
this has annoyed me, because Barrett would absolutely dress as Santa Claus, and instead they gave the Santa outfit to, like, Tifa or something. That's, no, embarrassing.
Okay, so
I
there's
don't care
Tifa,
whether or not
there's Tifa Santa, I see that.
Like, did they even give Barrett a new outfit? Because, like, they keep, like, because Barrett has, like, the least number of outfits in the game.
Yuffie is a reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
This seems necessary. What else we got? We have Vincent, who I've seen that. I don't think I've seen a Barrett yet. I don't see one. If I played this game...
They probably didn't. I'm just, like, you know, this is just, like, my eternal annoyance here that, you know, the opportunity is right there and you do not take it. What is wrong with you?
There is a terrible... Siliconera turned into a just awful website. I can't even see the costume they're talking about in this article. Cloud is dressed up like a gift, I think, is what he's supposed to be. Maybe he's one of the wise men? He's got like a robe.
What the fuck is that?
It's very... Well, it's very East Asian, actually. The tie he's got, it's got those 3 knots. Like, it's very... I think it's like a priest sort of thing. And he's got a samurai sword. So, I don't know what any of that has to do with Christmas, but he's wearing it. There looks like there's a shirtless Sephiroth, too.
Well, of course there's a shirtless Sephiroth.
Maybe these are New Year's things. No, this is from last year, actually, so... this is very confusing. Neither one of us play this game, we just need to go follow up the content. So, let me talk about what's been going on in Ever Crisis. So, first of all, there's a character named Alyssa, who looks to be a reborn Lucrezia, Sephiroth's mom. She might also be his sister, possibly, or a human Genova. I can't make sense of what she's supposed to be. There is young Angeal. They're hanging around, they're having adventures, Sephiroth, Alyssa, and young Angeal. They run into a ghost swordsman named Masamune, who has a cursed sword of the same name.
Oh my god.
Yep. And Masamune, in his backstory, burnt down the town and walked dramatically out of the flames, like nobody else in Final Fantasy VII ever has.
Oh my god.
Also, Sephiroth has a dream where he wakes up and Alyssa is standing over him, and he's resting in a bed of flowers, and she is standing in the Aerith pose. One more thing, we learn a lot about Wu Tai's backstory. There was like a giant monster, and a hero named DeChao of the Bean fame. He defeated that monster. There's probably some other things going on, but those are the highlights of the lore I've learned so far. Glenn exists as well. He does not wear shoes.
This is continuing to reaffirm my belief that Square Enix just can't make sequels in the same world as previous ones that they've worked on. It's just they always do something fucking stupid.
This is extremely... I'm getting extreme Union Cross vibes from what I'm learning about these backstory stuff, which is like, none of this is ever going to actually matter, because we'll never get to the part of the story where this backstory crap actually connects with the main stuff.
Right, like I mean, the only really important thing would be, I guess, Glenn getting shot, and does anyone believe that the mobile game is actually going to get there before Remake Part 3?
Will the mobile game survive at all to remake Part 3? Will it complete its thing? Because, for one thing, we're supposed to be having another Kingdom Hearts mobile game, which is completely MIA. Like, just totally disappeared. Mm-hmm. Was that Dark Road?
That was Missing Link.
Damn it. No, Dark Road was the Union Cross expansion that they, like, pulled the plug on almost immediately.
And then they just shout out the entire story, and it's clear they didn't do any extra development work on it. Cause
they're just like
all of the because there's like armor crafting in that thing, and some of the elemental armors went up to higher tiers than the other ones, and it's like you couldn't even pretend that this is complete.
Well, you got a baby Xehanort. Speaking of Christmas, he was the child that was chosen, the infant Kingdom Hearts. See? It all connects.
Yeah, actually, that's the funniest thing about Dark Road is that, they decided they needed an explanation for why this, nonagenarian is bald. Like it turns out Xehanort shaved his head.
Yep.
As some sort of sign of resolve to his path of darkness, and it's like, well, no, he's fucking old.
Well, you know what? Nomura character.
Explain that.
Is there ever been a Nomura character with hair loss? There've been some with high foreheads, but I don't think any of them have ever had hair loss. He just does not have that in him to go and have his beautiful boys with their beautiful hair disappear. And you know what? I understand. If I were creating human beings, I would not put in hair loss either. I think God and Jesus made a mistake when they did that.
Oh yeah, male pattern baldness fucking sucks. But,
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm so far lucky in that department, but my dad's hair is pretty thin, but I've got 35 years until I get there, I guess.
I sure fucking am not.
Sorry, I know.
Yeah, I know. You've seen me. You know it's hit me.
I know. Yeah. I mean, you could go Xehanort and just shave the whole thing off, and get super tan and have severe back problems, so you stand hunched over and reach your hand up dramatically, all the time.
Oh, sounds like I'm already a third of the way there then.
So that's where Ever Crisis is. I will never play that video game. But I will follow... this is all thanks to a YouTuber named Curious Corduroy who uploaded some cutscenes. All right, so some other things about Final Fantasy VII. So Hamaguchi is out there saying that the game's sales were not that bad. Actually, sorry, this was the producer. This is, I think, Yoshida saying this. Katase. Katase was saying.
Yeah, Katase.
Not Yoshida.
Yeah.
Yoshida does 14. My bad.
Yeah, Yoshida is the Studio 3 producer. This is Studio 1.
Yeah, so Katase was speaking to IGN Brazil. Says, while we are satisfied that we're meeting a certain number of sales with the current modernization state of games, we cannot be exclusive to a single platform. I think we need to be able to offer the game to as many players as we can. So this is him saying that the game was not a flop, which is, I guess, news, because so far, we still have actually not gotten any sales figures about how well that game sold.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. But this is the first we've heard that the game was not a flop, which I think is correct, because we've heard nothing except full steam ahead for 7 Part 3. And as we've already known, 7 Part 3 will be releasing probably on PC and PlayStation 5/6 at the same time, and maybe on Xbox, if there is still an Xbox. Who knows?
I mean, like, this is going to sound completely insane because I'm not sure if they can actually pull it off, but I think they're more likely to aim for Switch 2 instead.
Do you think that Switch 2 will be able to handle it, though?
I don't know, but, like, if you remember a while back when the Switch 2 rumors really started taking off, about a year before Nintendo finally admitted, yes, the Switch 2 is real, we're just going to take our sweet time to announce it, that one of those, like, backroom demos that they were showing off was apparently 7 Remake.
Okay, but being able to run 7 Remake is going to be a different kettle of fish than being able to run...
To Rebirth and Part 3, yes, I know, but that's still an indication that they want to try.
Though, now that I say that, Rebirth is running on the same base technology that Remake was. It's still the same engine, so you can optimize it down to probably be able to play on the Switch 2, and it'll just look like crap, like the PlayStation 4 version did. Like, in retrospect, the PlayStation 4 version of Remake looks really bad, in my opinion. Like, there are some butt-ugly looking characters and some not great looking textures in that version, and
that texture one was a bug, so like they at least fixed that with Integrate, but like Square didn't just for some reason didn't seem to understand how texture streaming worked in Unreal Engine at the time.
I mean, and I say that with all love, because Witcher 3, the arguably best game on PlayStation 4, that game looks bad in a lot of places. There are some. I remember in the Bloody Baron, when you meet him in his office or whatever, there's like cobwebs on the top of the screen, like in the ceiling, that are like, they're like paper graphics. They're like they look like PlayStation 1 models, and they're like screamingly obvious next to everything else that's very high def. And it's so weird to see. I'm sure they fixed it during the, like, 6 billion patches that game's gotten, but yeah, it was rough. PlayStation 4 was an underpowered console that entire generation. Still, probably the best console of all time. Hot take. But, I mean, really, think about it.
It is definitely up there.
Like, in terms of how many truly great games are on a thing, I think the PlayStation 4 has the most number of truly great games. I think,
the triumvirate of like the greats is like the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 2, and the Nintendo DS. It's like those are like the top. Those are like the top 3, the DS is still like the biggest selling console of all time. There's a good fucking reason for that one.
And PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2's got a lot of great games. But, like, I think, like, you could think, like, the height of PlayStation 4, 2017, you could legitimately say, in 2017, gaming has never been better than it is right now. And I think... I don't think it's ever been better since.
Reasonable take. And it definitely has not been better since, because the industry's fucking collapsed.
Yes. To the point that even the Game Awards had to acknowledge just how many losses there have been. Jeff Keighley had to talk about layoffs.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I have a news report that's tangentially related to what we're talking about, which is Steam users only spent 15% of their time playing games that came out in 2024. So
completely unsurprised by that one.
85% of all gaming time was spent on older games.
But of course, part of that is that Steam has the best legacy library of the lot. So if I'm playing a new game, I'm often playing it on PlayStation. If I'm playing an old one, I'm playing that on Steam, because that's often the only place to still get it.
And Steam infamously is like the great second run place, because that's where everything comes out on ridiculous deals. So yeah, you would be playing it. But I think that kind of gets around the issue that there's a ton of video game product out there. There's so much choice out there. And a lot of people have been spending their time playing like legacy games. Like, people have their one game that they play all the time. There are not a lot of people like me who just play new releases. And that is kind of a problem for the entire industry. It's a big problem for the indie scene, who can't get their funding anymore. Like, everyone was all gaga about Balatro and what a huge success it was, which sort of ignored the fact that this year was a fucking disaster, tire fire, slaughter, massacre, holocaust, whatever word you want to use if you're in indies. Because you can't get funding to make your video game right now. It is very, very difficult to do so.
Yeah, basically the only people who are being able to like weather hits at this point are ones that are capable of entire self-funding, which, like the current incarnation of the indie model not working anymore. AAA, it's debatable if AAA ever worked. But it's like just the general ideas of how we fund this no longer work, and everything is starting to just crumble because of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, here's my called shot. Because video games have such a long tail to actually make anything, like, the indie faucet is at full flow right now. So there's a lot of really good indie games out there that you can play, including Balatro. Maybe don't play it because it is a serious addiction and will ruin your life. But, I don't know, play Cassette Beast. That's a recent release. Or, I don't know, actually, I didn't... Animal Well. That's another really good indie game. I didn't play that many indie games this year. Weirdly enough. Psychroma. That's a good game. I don't think anyone's ever heard of that or played it. I might be the only one. It was fun. It's a good horror game. Pixel art. There's trans characters in it. There's body horror and things. It's kind of like a Norco. So you can go play that. My point is that, let's say in 2027-ish, there's suddenly going to be like a massive drop-off in the amount of indie games getting made. Because people are finishing up their productions now, and they're trying to move on to their second game or their third game. Many studios are closing down as they've moved on. Like, there are plenty of stories about companies that have made like 4 or 5 games, and it's like, well, here's game number 6. No, we're not giving you the money for this. And then you move on, and I guess you get a real job. I don't know. I don't know what you do. So that's grim.
Yep.
And in terms of, did AAA ever work? I'm not sure that AAA ever worked. I'm not sure that anything actually works. This is my experience of life. I don't think anyone has any idea what the hell they're doing. Everything is a complete garbage fire all the time. Like, you work at a company, and it seems like all shiny and new, and then you just get to the point where you open up the wrong door and you see, oh my god, this is all being held together by string. Exactly. That's how everything is.
Yep.
So, what should we move on to now? Back on 7 and its sales. So, GameSpot has an announcement of the best-selling games in the U.S. so far. This is just the United States. They based this on Circania, which published its latest monthly U.S. sales report, looking at the best-selling games of 2024. In here, we have quite a few games from not 2024, including Spider-Man 2, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, Hogwarts Legacy, Elden Ring, you know. The best-selling game in the United States apparently was College Football 25, because it's the first college football sports game in like 10 years, because the NCAA is a terrible, terrible company, and you're not American, so you probably have no idea what I'm talking about with that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the 15th best-selling game in the United States. Behind, interestingly, Dragon's Dogma 2, which I find perplexing, to be honest, because I don't know anyone talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, but apparently it outsold 7 Rebirth.
Dragon's Dogma 2 was well liked for like 2 weeks, and then everybody started to fucking hate it.
Yeah, that game fell off in terms of discourse hard. Like, I follow Remap, formerly of Waypoint, and like Waypoint was named after a Dragon's Dogma concept. And there cannot be people who are more hyped about Dragon's Dogma 2, ready to talk about it. They didn't talk about it at all this year, from my recollection. They talked a lot more about Balatro. A lot more about 7 Rebirth, which they ultimately decided they didn't like. But, yeah. Weird. And I think that's all the news. Let me see. Is there anything else? I can go check Fabula Nivalis. Let's see if they have anything. That's a good website to follow. Wait, Nova Crystallis. I never can remember their name. What do they have to say? Let's see what Nova Crystallis is reporting. 7.1... Final Fantasy XIV 7.15 is coming out.
That was the patch that added. Well, it added a few minor things, but that's also where the new Cloud of Darkness fight was added. So,
okay. Oh, you already talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh, and yes, we already talked about Yuffie as a reindeer and Vincent as holiday formal wear. Looking, as we've mentioned previously, fabulously bitchy. He's got glasses. Yeah. I don't know how we didn't mention that. He looks super rude with those glasses.
Yeah, you know what? He fucking rocks the look. It's just also that if it wasn't for that snowflake on it, I wouldn't peg it as a Christmas thing.
He looks like what's his name? Syx. Who I don't think wears glasses, but Syx has extreme glasses energy. Or
he does kind of look like Syx with glasses.
Or who's the 15 guy with glasses? Ignis.
Ignis, yeah.
Yeah. If Ignis was super bitchy, that's what this would be, and much more fabulous. All right. So we should talk about Final Fantasy of 2024. What is the best Final Fantasy of 2024? So we need to go through what the candidates are. Those candidates are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, or whatever the hell that game's called. We were just talking about it a second ago. I've already forgotten.
Ever Crisis.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. And, let me think. Metaphor ReFantasia. Let's throw it in there, too. That's basically Final Fantasy V, but Persona. I don't know. Which one of those candidates do you think is Final Fantasy of the Year?
Gee, I wonder which one it'd be. I mean, okay, like, if I take this question somewhat seriously, first of all, Ever Crisis, fuck no. last
exactly.
place.
Yep.
Somehow comes fifth in a field of 4 candidates. Let's see. I mean, Metaphor Refantaggio, I think, is a good game. You know, I don't strictly disagree with its RPG of the Year award, even if I do think Rebirth is better. But it also is really not a Final Fantasy. It is a fucking excellent Shin Megami Tensei. It is the Shin Megami Tensei of the year. The candidates for that being
Metaphor
Metaphor
Refantaggio and Persona 3.
Persona 3 Reload, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance.
Demon's School did not come out this year. It's been delayed to February, so it is not in the running for that category.
Yeah, but for the category of Final Fantasy of the year, it does not have that vibe. That's kind of a hard thing to describe, the vibe of a Final Fantasy, because it changes every goddamn game, but it does not strike that kind of vibe to me.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn Trail, I mean, I like Dawn Trail, but it is clearly a flawed experience. Some of the best gameplay they've ever done, but the writing needed more time to cook. It is just not the best Final Fantasy XIV has been. And even then, I usually discount Final Fantasy XIV for Game of the Year because it came out in 2013, and it kind of feels weird to just kind of keep bringing it up as the possible Game of the Year. But yeah, in the end, yeah, it's 7 Rebirth. Like we know what we're thinking here. Some problems with the ending aside, it is one of the best games I have played. Period. It's I love what they have done with the source material. If it actually does do a lot to create an even better version of Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, while we can't fully look on this until Part 3 is out, it just feels good. It just feels like a great game to play.
Yes, we've done an entire episode about how much we love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and you are correct in terms of overall production. It is ridiculous in terms of how much content they put into that game, and how much of that content is actually good. For the most part, most of those side quests are pretty damn good. And the crap that people got exhausted by is stuff that you didn't necessarily need to do. Like, I didn't do Chadley's missions.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a joke, but one thing I did say once is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth managed to hit the lofty heights of having 50% of its minigames be actually playable.
And the bad ones, you don't need to play. Just don't do that to yourself. Like, people were really mad about, I think people were really mad about, like, the weightlifting game or something. Just don't do it. You don't need to do that thing. It's a really shitty version of that game where you're Red 13 and you got to get the balls into the soccer things.
Oh yeah, the Red 13 Rocket League mode.
Yeah. Fuck that thing. That's terrible. Don't do that. Just skip it. It's just awful.
Yeah, like the Chocobo flying courses in Cosmo Canyon, those are fucking dog shit. But
yes. Yeah, you know, that's the one thing, is like, they so badly want to be like Nintendo in terms of, look at all this lush open content you can do, but they're so, how do I put this? They're so, like, rigid in terms of what you're allowed to touch and what you're allowed to not touch, that the systems feel ultimately highly artificial. So, like, all the climbing, you can only climb where there's yellow spaces. And this is especially bad in Gungaga, where it's so easy to get completely goddamn lost. It's like, well,
oh god, yeah,
if there were any kind of
an experience,
if there was any kind of like allowed platformy physics, if they just allowed platforming to exist, and even the slightest chance that, oh yeah, maybe I'll just fall through the map and something will glitch out, that'd be better than how they do it. But
yeah,
that aside.
Rebirth did technically bring in jumping, but the way they do it, it's just like incredibly fucking awkward. Like, if you know how you could get a Cloud to go into aerial combat by like dodging and then holding the attack button, and he'd like teleport to an enemy, and if it's in the air, well, now you're fighting in the air. That is like the most awkward thing about the game, honestly, that the aerial combat, because I mean, first of all, only a few characters can actually do it.
Yeah.
But also, it just kind of feels weird to get up there in the first place.
And then you just float around like it's Kingdom Hearts in an endless combo.
Yeah.
But, well, I had forgotten just how many things they added to that combat system, like the assists and the kind of mini limit breaks that you have where your two characters join together.
Yeah.
Like, the combat is just so damn good in that game. So,
like, you know, there's the, you know, if Part 3 brings back, you know, fucking triple text, you know, Chrono Trigger was fucking great, and having all those team attacks is part of why it was fucking great. We can bring back triple text in the next game.
Yeah. I had legitimately, like, really good... There were moments in that game where I was under-leveled to heck and was unable to beat it in terms of a turn-based RPG and had to actually play as an action game. Like, there was Cloud and Tifa together, and there was some sort of a battle where just the monsters were just completely overwhelming us. I don't know how I got so underleveled and was unprepared for it. But then I just was just awesome. I just dodged and did uppercuts and her down kick move over and over again and comboed my way out of it. I'm like, this is sick. This is a good game.
Yeah, that's also a thing. Most of the characters are really fun to play.
Yeah. Yuffie, character of the year. Surprising.
Yeah.
Red 13, I barely used him, but he was pretty solid when he was in the pinch.
He's okay, yeah.
Kate Sith still sucks. Always sucks. Will forever suck. I don't believe anyone who says that character's got a good kit. I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm also going to go with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as Final Fantasy of the Year. What an upset. Who would have seen it coming? Arguably the best Final Fantasy game ever made. And one with severe frustrations in a million other places, but still.
Yeah, but like at the same time, name a Final Fantasy game that isn't frustrating in some aspects. You know, it's gaming is an iterative process, and you never get everything right. And like, you know, a lot of the Final Fantasy Wiki stuff, we fucking love Final Fantasy 12, but that game is still a game with problems.
Yes, it is a game that is, by its own admission, half finished.
Yeah.
Which had to switch directors mid-production, and they cobbled together whatever they could, which is why the plot kind of feels like it just sort of ends right at the point it's really getting started, which is fine. You know, instead you spend most of that game just wandering the wilderness, which is super cool, because that is a very impressive wilderness for 2006.
Yeah.
Still probably the best, like, ecosystem that a Final Fantasy game has ever had. In terms of, like, how monsters react to other monsters and things. Like, I cannot say how impressive it is that in 2006 they realized that low-level monsters fighting them over and over again is just going to be boring as heck, so we're going to have the super low-level ones just run away from you. That was a revelation in 2006. So, if this was Final Fantasy of the Year 2006, I think Final Fantasy 12 would win that easily. But we should look on to 2025. What will be Final Fantasy of the Year 2025? The answer is we have no friggin' idea, because Square Enix has nothing on the slate.
That would require them to announce something. But at the moment, the field of candidates is like patch 7.3 of Final Fantasy 14. Congratulations in advance to Mr. Naoki Yoshida.
Well, I'm going to go again to press.na.square-nx.com. I've checked here before. They've added 7 Rebirth PC for January. So,
right, yeah.
That could be Final Fantasy of the Year next year, too. Dragon Quest 12 is still TBA. Kingdom Hearts 4 is still TBA. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, TBA. There's something called Dying Light 2. That's a Square Enix thing. I know that was coming out. I did not realize that Square Enix was involved in any way for that. Techland is the developer. I guess Square Enix is the publisher. Did not realize. But again, TBA. Final Fantasy 14 for mobile phones. That is happening.
Oh, right, yeah.
Probably next year. Who knows? Then that Oculus Rift game, Project Hikari, that's still on this slate. Even though I have literally no way of knowing if that thing's real or not. And finally, Bubble Bobble 4 Friends. The Baron is back for PC and PlayStation 4. TBA.
So yeah, there's our candidate.
I'm surprised there's only 4 Bubble Bobble games. Is that possible?
I think there's actually a lot more than that, but they've somehow restarted the numbering scheme several times.
Yes, there must be I would say there's probably like 100 different releases of Bubble Bobble. Here we are. We could go through the Bubble Bobble franchise here. So we're going to go through the Bubble Bobble franchise just real fast. So Wikipedia is listing the main franchise as Bubble Bobble, Rainbow Islands, Parasol Stars, Bubble Bobble Part 2, Bubble Symphony, Bubble Memories, then a whole bunch of games in 2005 and 2007. These are all called Revolution. So Rainbow Islands Revolution, Bubble Bobble Revolution. These must be remakes. And these are for the DS. Bubble Bobble Plus, Rainbow Islands Towering Adventure, and then in 2019, Bubble Bobble for Friends. So, maybe it's not Bubble Bobble 4, it's Bubble Bobble for Friends. Yes, it is Bubble Bobble. It is Bubble Bobble for Friends. 4 as in FOR, but they wrote it as a 4. Yes, so this is very important stuff, which is important on a Final Fantasy Wiki podcast. There's also Puzzle Bobble, aka Bust a Move. I think it was called Bust a Move in the United States. There's a lot of Puzzle Bobble games. 2, 3, 4, Mini, Super Puzzle Bobble, Millennium, Super Puzzle Bobble 2, Ultra Puzzle Bobble, Pull Back! Puzzle Bobble, Bust a Move Bash, Space Puzzle Bobble, Puzzle Bobble Plus, New Puzzle Bobble, Tobidasu, Puzzle Bobble 3D, Puzzle Bobble VR Vacation Odyssey, Puzzle Bobble Every Bubble. That came out just last year for the Nintendo Switch. It had a mode called Puzzle Bobble vs. Space Invaders. I think I asked this a lot. Square Enix owns Taito now.
Yes.
I think I was unaware of that. Purchased in 2005. I know this fact and I forget it every time.
Generally speaking, Taito is still allowed to just go under their brand name and not even mention Square Enix most of the time. But yeah, it is part of Square Enix.
When are we going to get an Arkanoid section in a game? Just randomly Sora has to play Arkanoid for a little while. That's a decent game. It's also, you may know it as Breakout. It's identical to that on the Atari.
Yeah.
They also have Space Invaders, which is a worse game than Galaga. I think everyone knows this.
Yeah, but it's still the one that took off. So.
Fun fact, Taito was founded in 1944 by a Jewish-Ukrainian businessman, founding it as called Taitung in Shanghai. He was a Soviet Union refugee. But then he renamed it to Taito in Japanese after the communists took over China, forcing them to move once again.
Right.
So from Russia to China to Japan to Square Enix. What a story. They should make a movie about that. No, they shouldn't. Please don't. Alright, so we are at... Where are we now? We've been doing this for an hour 15. Is there anything else we need to cover?
I don't think so.
We could talk about the long history of Henry VIII and his wives. No, let's not do that. How about this? Do we have any resolutions for Final Fantasy in 2025? Anything we want to accomplish Final Fantasy wise or JRPG wise in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ? What is it? MMXXV. Right? Yeah, that's the Roman numerals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, two 2000s, 2 10s, 5. Yeah, that's the correct one. Honestly, I do have a list of lots of things to look at, and I don't think any of them are Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
God, I am still trying to get through Trails. I started playing Trails in the Sky the Third ages ago and just never finished it because, that was around the time when then Persona 3 Reload came out, and I started playing that and just kind of got distracted from there.
It's easy to get drawn back into Persona 3, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, I love Persona 3, but at the same time, I do sometimes want to play other things.
But do those other things have Aegis in them, though? That's the important question.
You make a fair point.
I do.
It would only really be better if we had the female protagonist option in Reload, because the tragic techno Yuri should not be denied. And in fact, I know it won't be denied because modders have been busting their ass off, basically trying to do a full conversion mod to put the female protagonist back in that game.
Is that still not there? I thought they were adding that. Or wait, I'm thinking they added the answer, didn't they?
They added the Aegis mode, yeah, but yeah, it seems like the female protagonist just isn't on the cards for that version.
I did not play the answer because Persona 3 was already 60 hours long and I was way sick of it.
The answer is, from what I understand, because I didn't pick up that DLC either, that it's a lot improved over what it was like in FES, but it's still the answer. It's not that good.
Persona 3 was a game that I completed everything I wanted to do, and then I had 2 months of completely empty time. And then I went to bed every day until I could fight the final boss. It's wild.
The calendar format does have its problems.
I didn't even want to, I could max out Mitsuru and sleep with her, and I'm like, no, I'm tired of this game. Alright, so your resolution is to play the entire Tales series in 2025?
Trails. I mean, sorry. I wouldn't play the entirety of it because, first of all, they're not all out in English yet, but I do want to actually continue my way through that series. I've talked about this on in Yoon's server before. I really love Trails in the Sky SC. It is a fucking brilliant game, and I want to see what they did after that.
Trails in the Sky Soccer Club?
Second chapter.
Okay. Alright. I had to say it. And yes, I am aware that the Tales series is a completely different thing, and you would not be able to do that in 1 year. I don't care how much time you have. You would not be able to play that entire franchise in 1 year. That would take forever
and also require... that would also require more fucking around with translation patches and stuff that I'm willing to do on this computer.
Yeah. I think my Final Fantasy resolution is, 1, I need to play Neo Fantasian, just for content-wise, and so I can see how Sakaguchi's doing.
Of course.
Well, yeah. You can make that January's
topic. That is also on my to-do list.
The other thing is, my mind has been going back to finally playing Final Fantasy X-2, but I know I'm never going to do that. I don't think that time's ever going to happen in my life where that's going to happen. But Mother 3 is a game that I started and never finished. I should wrap up Mother 3. And on that point, I should probably also wrap up a different game. What was it? It's a Super Nintendo game. I've been waiting Square Enix to go and port this dang thing, and it's never gonna. Terranigma. Never gonna do it. That is a really cool game, and it sucked to play on my laptop because it's an action RPG. But now I could probably easily get an emulator going and get a controller here. It's just taking the 5 minutes of steps required to get started is too much work, and I never do it. But Mother 3, let me make that my resolution for 2025, which is actually available in Japan. I think on their GBA Switch program, that you can go play that on your Switch. Only in Japan, in Japanese, because Nintendo will never release that game in English. They hate you.
I mean, at least the translation patch for Mother 3 is legitimately excellent. Like that is still one of the most impressive modding jobs out there.
Yeah, I think another thing that stopped me is that the combat has kind of like a timing aspect to it. And
that does not play very well with Game Boy Advance emulators. Yeah,
I'm to understand it didn't play very well on the original Game Boy Advance either. So
it probably didn't, but yeah.
Not that anyone ever played it on the Game Boy Advance is the problem.
Yeah.
They should release video games. That's my hot take. Even with the very questionable character choices, there's a lot of jokes that aged very rapidly, very poorly in that game. You could easily get rid of those.
That's like there are a lot of reasons why Mother 3 will never come out outside of Japan, and I'm pretty sure the scene where Lucas learns PSI is very high on that list.
Wait, pounds per square inch?
His spells.
Oh. Isn't it PK?
It's both.
Oh.
Like the mother, like I forget the exact rule of when it's PK and when it's PSI, but the games do use both.
Okay. Most of my experience from that comes from Smash Brothers, where they go PK fire, PK fire, PK freeze.
Okay, yeah, I think it's that like PK is mostly attacks and PSI just means his skill set in general. So
PK blast, PK thunder. Yep. So the Switch 2 is coming out sometime in 2025. I'm to understand fairly.
Presumably, they said that they were going to formally announce it before the end of the financial year, so they got 3 more months to do that.
One thing I'm looking forward to is Dragon Quest 1 and 2. When they when they announce when they finally release those, because I want to play those before Dragon Quest 3, because that's actually a trilogy of games, and I know Dragon Quest 3 is the prequel, but I still think you should probably play those in release order if you can. Not that I've played the other Dragon Quest games in release order, but the other Dragon Quest games aren't connected in any way. This is the one. These 3 are the first 3 that are like in a shared universe. Erdrick.
Yeah.
Which isn't even his name in Japanese. What is Erdrick's name in Japanese? Lodo.
Yeah, Loto, that's it, yeah.
Alright. I think that's a podcast at this point.
Yeah. I mean, one wiki business thing that we kind of forgot to talk about last month. We're on Blue Sky now.
Oh, yes.
Like we finally got, there's enough attention here to make the account, so we have. And like we're still not using it that much, but we're using it more than Twitter accounts at this point because everyone except Techno stopped using that.
Yes, you can.
But yeah, that is FinalFantasyWiki.bsky.social. Because when I made that account, FFWiki.bsky.social was already taken.
Maybe one of us started it and then forgot about it, like years ago.
No, it was No, that's taken by the Cywer side.
The what?
The group that the independent Kingdom Hearts wiki is in.
Oh, there's an alternate version
of. That drama can never fucking die.
Okay. I mean, it's good that there is an alternate Final Fantasy wiki because, at some point with Google changing all its ad revenue, fandom's just going to go up and shut us all down. Possibly in 2025. I mean, who knows? So,
yeah. Also, I guess if you also care about that, Blue and I both also have our personal accounts there. We almost never talk about Final Fantasy on them.
I haven't had much to talk about Final Fantasy-wise.
Same.
I've played one Final Fantasy game this entire year, and that was back in March. I will be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soon, because I'll be writing my Game of the Year list, but I usually don't write that until February, because I am a human being with a job and a life and other things to do, so I often don't get around to playing all the games I want to until February. I got Star Wars Outlaws unopened.
Okay.
I want to either finish Metaphor or finally decide that I'm not going to finish that game, that I will open up Star Wars Outlaws. So, you can follow me at BlueHighwind, and you can follow SomeColo at SomeColo.
Yeah.
Remember the Australian spelling.
Yeah.
You can follow. What was it again? It was Final Fantasy Wiki .bluesky.social.
Bsky.social. Yeah.
Bsky?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just remember Blue Sky Wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works there. All the account names are URLs. So if you don't provide one yourself, you get one from their bsky.social domain.
Oh, so don't do at BlueHighwind. Go to bluehighwind.bsky.social, I guess. I'm sure at BlueHighwind will probably find your way to me.
Yeah,
so
it's at BlueHighwind. Yeah, it's at bluehighwind.bsky.social.
Yes. And there you'll find such wonderful tweets as me playing Balatro and being tired of Balatro. And me and rMage actually had the exact same conversation on Blue Sky that we had on this podcast. I also saw a sign outside a deli saying, "What soup are you going to eat today?" I thought that was inspiring, so I Blue Sky tweeted about it. That's the kind of content you can find if you follow me on Blue Sky. Yep.
And if you were ever familiar with my Twitter account, I mostly just repost stuff.
Yeah.
I can look at my because you can actually when you do the replies feed, it actually cuts out all your reposts, and I can see what's happened in the past 2 weeks in my account on my account. It's that conversation about Balatro, that one thing I said where why are bots following me? They must have no taste.
Oh yeah,
and
that
then
too.
The rest of it is gushing about the latest chapter of a webcomic I've been reading.
Yeah, most of my followers are almost certainly bots.
Yeah, probably.
None of them ever interact with a single thing I ever say or do. It's mostly resist accounts, and I'm I'm glad you guys aren't real. I don't want to do that again. We can live a different way through all this. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad, but we don't need to be resist types 2017.
It's going to be bad that the answer the last time wasn't liberalism, and it's still not going to be liberalism this time.
Yep. Persona 5 predicted that resist was not good enough. And that was fucking Persona 5. It was a game for teenagers.
Yeah.
It knew better than most of these people. So, all right. So, again, this is the Final Fantasy Wiki. We are the greatest Final Fantasy website on the internet. And hopefully one day the only Final Fantasy website on the internet. We will kill our competition. Everyone else with a Final Fantasy website, we're coming for you, and we have hammers. Be prepared.
We did it before.
We'll do it again. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I was thinking of making a Homestuck joke, but then nothing came to mind, so I'm not going to do it. All right, so the music is La Montana de los Jovenes Caballeros by XPRTNovice off the OC Balance and Ruins soundtrack. It sounds like Mount Koltz from Final Fantasy VI. You ever notice that it sounds like Mount Koltz from Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah, the weird coincidence.
It is weird, yeah. But like a Spanish, sort of dance version. I also mix it to be super loud, to be startling. So, yeah, that's that. That's the entire show. I don't know why you're still listening. I don't know why I'm still talking. I'm gonna go to bed. Good night.
Night.
See how this goes. Okay. The Wiki Podcast is brought to you by Boston Market. Excuse me. Oh yes, we're also doing something. But that gag is for afterwards. All right, we'll start again.